how do you move with the Lord? Is it through morning walks around your neighborhood? Or maybe playing your favorite sport with a good friend? Today's guest moves with God through dances, pilgrimages, activism, and her daily life as a religious sister. And welcome to another episode of In All Things. I'm so excited to introduce to you guys the guest for this episode. She's such a talented, creative, and very eloquent daughter of God. She fell in love with her vocation through a pilgrimage when she was in university. And ever since that day, she's just been, saying yes so beautifully through her day-to-day life, whether that be living as a religious sister or through her posts on social media, her dancing videos on her YouTube channel. So all in all, she's a great person. So please join me in welcoming Sister Desiré.
Hi, Sister. Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I had a chance to just relax over the weekend and take some time away from technology, so it's really nice.
That's good. And here you are back at it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's why I took time off.
That's beautiful. Amazing. Okay. So could you tell us how your love for dance started?
Yeah, so at first I did not love dance. I don't know what happened, but my mom, we were in Germany, and my dad was in the Air Force, so we lived on a military base there, and she had me in ballet, and I just remember we were like running in a little circle, and I started crying. And so she took me out of ballet, but then when we came back to the United States, she put me back in ballet. And really it was, I think in middle school, when I just started to like really appreciate the rhythm and the mindfulness. When you're dancing, especially in ballet, you have to be aware of everything. Like, where's your chin? Where's your, back? What's your posture? Like, how are your hips? How are your knees? How are your ankles? And just all the, the mindfulness of it and like control and the breath and everything. So I started to love dance then, I think.
So yeah, you seem to connect with our Lord a lot through movement, which is beautiful because Jesus had a body, so it's,
yeah, amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, just as a, fun question, if you could slow dance with Jesus, what would that look like, in terms of maybe the song that you would dance to or...
So I think anytime I do that, anytime I really allow myself to connect with the music and the lyrics and what it is saying to me, I think that I slow dance with Jesus each time. But if I were to specifically, like, say, when I get to heaven, this is a song we're dancing to, and it was a slow dance, I think All of Me by John Legend would probably be my number one.
Yeah, that is
I love that. Yeah, just that gift of self and reciprocated, that it's, Jesus gave himself totally and for us. So for me as an individual, and so I have a choice to give myself totally back to Jesus. And, that kind of like the idea of dance or like a back and a forth and, driving each other crazy sometimes, because Jesus can drive me crazy, like with the conversion and, trying to teach me new things. And I'm like, this is so hard. And, trying to get like heal from past hurts and things like that. So, but it's so necessary, to stay in that dance and to stay in, and to say, okay, I don't want to abandon the work that you have for me.
It's I think a great metaphor for life because in a way we're all kind of dancing with the Lord, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, He's our forever partner on our dance card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think for me it would be Let It Be Me by Ray. I don't want to butcher his name, but Ray LaMontagne.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And just I call it a prayer date. In my prayer date with Jesus, I was just picturing my toes on top of his feet and him just kind of guiding me.
I taught at an all-girls high school in Southern California, and I taught ballet and jazz. And sometimes our prayer, because we started every class with prayer, sometimes it was just like we all laid down on the floor, and then I played a song. Maybe it was a Christian song, or maybe it was just music. And I would say, just picture yourselves dancing to this. And, so it is just letting your mind, if you feel like, well, I'm not a good dancer, or, then even just imagining it is still just as powerful.
You've traveled around the world. I've seen your posts on Instagram. It's so beautiful where you've been. And one of the places that you've been to is Haiti. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, that was so eye-opening. So I still had that like childlike understanding of just society in general, and thinking, oh, everybody thinks like me in the Western world. Everybody, interacts in their relationships the way that we do. And when I went to Haiti, I saw that that was not true. But I loved learning that. I loved knowing that there was not just one way of being or one way of thinking, one way of interacting. And so it was like I got to see more. I like to imagine God as a mosaic. And so it's like I got to see more of the picture. I got to see more colors and more tones of that mosaic that makes up God. And so actually the bigger culture shock was coming back to the United States and having everything be so like, clean cut, and our trees and everything are like very specifically placed. And, there in Haiti was like trees everywhere, natural. And
it's beautiful. And I saw that you also taught some of the girls there ballet as well.
Yes. Okay. That was the most powerful. I was there for 1 month the first time I went, and I had about 20 young women from ages about 11 to 20, and they wanted to learn some dance. So the first week I taught just like basic ballet, some first position, second position, plie, and then the second week I taught them a dance that I had choreographed. It was to Hello by Adele.
Wow.
And it was so funny because by the end of the week, they're all singing the song. They don't even know what they're saying, but they memorized all the lyrics. And then the third week, there was a young woman in my group who her family was, they had enough means, and they had sent her to learn dance, but like a Haitian specific style dance. So the third week, she taught a dance, and I learned it with the young women. And then at the end, the day before I left, we had a little performance. And in Haiti, like when people hear there's some sort of gathering or party and there might be food, like a whole bunch of people you've never seen before show up. So they had a nice crowd for their performance. And I feel like I saw in them this new way of seeing themselves. And in Haiti, like equal, women's rights and things is not even a conversation. It's just like women are pretty much meant to be in a certain place, and that place is beneath a man. So not judging it, not saying that's right or wrong, but that's just how it is. And so when I saw them have such positive attention on them, and to be able to offer something and to share themselves and their hard work, it was like they recognized how much dignity they had. And it was like, I cried. So at the end, I'm crying, and they come over and they're like, they're trying to figure out why I'm crying. And then they start crying, and it was amazing. I just saw such a light in them that I don't think they realized they had.
So you've posted 2 day in the life videos on your YouTube channel, which was very interesting to see. I'm glad that we have that resource. Actually, it's really helpful for people who are just discerning their vocation in life. What would you say is the most fulfilling part about your role as a vocation director, but also just like in general being a religious sister?
Yeah, I think in being a vocation director, I feel so honored to be able to walk with people who are trying to discern God's movement in their lives. I've always been drawn, I'm an introvert by nature, so I like...
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to take a nap after this.
Exactly. Lay down, go read a book. Yeah. So I've always loved just like one-on-one conversation with people. And so I love that. I love the journey piece and the accompaniment piece. So I'm not like, people think vocation directors are recruiters, and so we're like just trying to get people to enter our communities. Like, it's about trying to help people find where God really is inviting them. And if it's to our community, fantastic. And if it's not, fantastic. Like, we want people to be happy and fulfilled. And so that's what our job is as vocation directors. And then as a sister, I love the chance to live differently. Like, I was out watering our grass the other day because it's like dying in the heat. But one of my neighbors that I've never met, he was walking by and he's like, "So how come you're dressed differently?" And so we started talking, and he's like, most of the nuns that I've ever like heard of or seen, they're all like old, and you're different because you're young. And it's like, well, a lot of us are older, yes. And I said, and there are some of us who are young. And he's like, "That's just so cool because you're doing something different." And gave me a chance like to walk away from that conversation and really think about the fact that I've chosen not like a better way of life, but I've chosen a different way of being in the world. And I am loving it. Like, I love, people assume, they're like, "Well, how come you never wanted to get married or have kids?" Well, I did, but this just seemed to also fit for me. And then the idea of having family in a different way definitely appealed to me. And I've been growing in that understanding and growing in those relationships. And so I think it's the relational piece that I really appreciate in religious life.
Yeah, there's a lot of like also inward spirituality. I find that when you work at maybe a more of an office job, you don't get much time for that, I find. Yeah, it's been, I think, 4 months of just the world seeing, just the world changing in the face of the pandemic. And hopefully we start to see more improvements there. But even while that was happening, we were kind of experiencing another virus in our world, and it's more of the heart, I would say, of racial injustice. And so in the face of that, and the face of the Black Lives Matter movement, you've just so beautifully, I would say, inspired dialogue in the community, the Catholic community in social media. That's actually how I found you on Instagram. It was through the Catholic circles who just kept sharing your dances, and when the Keep Sharing the Mic initiative happened, I saw more of your posts there, and I got to read some of your blog posts. So just all around this whole experience with the Black Lives Matter movement, I've just been reflecting a lot and trying to absorb stories and learning from people. And you're one of the people who just really touched my heart in how you, used your platform and your voice to, spread love and bring awareness to racial injustice. So in light of that, what advice would you give to Catholics who, are just kind of realizing their own biases and their own blind spots, and are definitely eager to make change in themselves and their circles, but are maybe not sure where to start? What advice would you give to them?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think social media is a great place to start. As you were saying, there are a lot of people out there sharing stories, sharing information, being encouraging, and even especially within the Catholic circles. I've seen it was like a litany of what's it, like a litany, something to like help people be aware of their unconscious biases. And I was like, this is beautiful. You know, I see what they're posting, and sometimes, and a lot of times there are action pieces, and, you know, someone who's like, I don't know where to start. There are a lot of action items out there on social media, petitions, you know. There's even, like, I just shared a story where there were children and families being held, not even in a detention center, it was like in a hotel in Texas,
Oh my goodness.
just over the weekend. And so I shared that because at the end there were phone numbers and emails people could come. So just that, even there's an action item right there. You know, but things like Equal Justice Initiative, they're on Instagram, they're probably all over the internet. They have a lot of action items. Even listening to podcasts like Ask Father Josh Johnson is a great resource. And I know on YouTube, probably if you just even Google or, you know, or look up on YouTube, like Catholic talks on racial justice, I'm sure that a good number would pop up. So I think social media is a great place to start. And then having conversations with friends who you see really are trying to learn as well. Maybe having like a book club or something. Again, you could easily Google, you know, books on racial injustice or books on awareness, you know, and of being Black in America, things like that. You know, and read those books and talk to each other about that. And, you know, a lot of Black people right now are like, have a lot of friends coming to them asking like, tell me about this, tell me about that. And it can be exhausting. I know a lot of us as people of color feel differently about that. You know, some people are like, do your own work and you know, don't come to me until like have something else to say. But I know I and a lot of other people of color feel like this is what we want for people to hear and to listen. And so that means we have to use our voices. So I don't mind, you know, being interviewed or having a conversation. What can be difficult is when somebody comes with an agenda and they don't tell you. I had a friend text me and they were like, so, you know, what's your opinion on all this? And by the end of the conversation, I realized really they were just trying to get my opinion to see if it was good enough to change their opinion. And that was pretty hurtful. So things like that can be tough. So make sure when you go to a conversation, especially if it's with someone of color, to check like where you're coming from and what is it you really want out of this conversation, and to at least be upfront about that, you know, and that way that frees the person to say, I'm not comfortable with that, or you know what, sure, let's have this conversation.
Yeah. Wow, those are really good tips, sister. Thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of your Instagram, I thought it would be kind of fun as we wrap up this amazing chat that we've had to go through some of your past Instagram posts and just, you know, just like a rapid fire kind of explain that photo.
All right, let's see.
So for the folks watching, it'll appear on your screen.
So that one is me sitting by the Jordan River in the Holy Land. And that, so I don't know how much like rapid fire or like how much I can say, but I won that trip. So that was like, yeah, wow. Opportunity. And my name got pulled out of a jar, and then I was allowed to bring somebody with me. So I chose one of my sisters, and she took that picture. So I was just kind of sitting there, like reflecting on Jesus being baptized there, and you know, life and ministry in his life in the spirit. And
that sounds like a really fun moment. Oh my goodness. And to see the Holy Land in person, that's definitely in my bucket list.
Yes. So, yeah, you got to go, and you have to float in the Dead Sea. Just, you have to do it.
Wow. I think I had a dream about that, actually, but it looked nothing like the Dead Sea. Okay, next photo. This one?
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay, so you chose some pictures. That one was, so I belong to this group of sisters called Giving Voice. It's specifically for sisters under the age of 50, all throughout the United States. And we're from all different communities. So I'm a Felician sister, but there are like Dominican sisters, there are Benedictine sisters. And then this time, a couple of sisters got together and they were like, we want to write a book. And then they just invited others of us and they said, would you like to help? So we each got to write a chapter. There were 13 of us.
Wow.
And I was invited to do that. They'd seen that I write on my blogs, and things like that. So that was our gathering, was to write the book. And I barely even remember the writing part of that week. We were together, for 1 week. And I mostly just remember spending time with my peers, in religious life and just having a good time, like playing Uno and then relaxing outside. And it was, so I don't even, how my chapter came out, I don't know, but it was great.
And is that book, like, is it out there in the world now?
It is, actually, yeah. Okay. In our own words, religious life in a changing world. That's what it was.
Oh, nice. I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Because I just, like, reading through your blogs, I was like, oh my goodness, Sister Desiré, she needs to write a book. And then I saw this photo and I'm like, oh, she already did.
Yeah, one day I would love to write my own book, but that was great. I think that was a great, like, introduction to what it would be like to write a book. And I loved that it was a communal effort, any of us were on our own, but we did it together.
Yes. Community is so important, and it's always fun to gather with different creatives for project. Okay, this one. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay. Okay, that one. Wow, that was like way back when.
Yeah, I scrolled through a lot of your photos.
That's funny. So that one is just like speaks contentment to me. I was on a retreat in that one. At a Carmelite monastery in Southern California when I still lived and taught there. And it was just like, it was silent, and it was a preached retreat, but because I'm an introvert, was like, I don't want to go to all those talks. So I went to some of them, and then other times I just was like in quiet all day long. That was one of those days. Yeah.
Nice. I love what you said there too. Hopefully I took up
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. I spent almost 1 week in solitude and silence. If I could sum up what I learned, I'd say this: to let my shadows dance with the light.
Yes. Yeah. And just to come as we are completely to God, to not anything out. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful quote. Okay, last one.
That one. Okay. That was in New Mexico, so my favorite place because that's where I grew up. But I was born in Mississippi, so I like that I have kind of two heritages going on there. But anyway, that was a discernment retreat weekend, and women came, and I really enjoyed that because it was like I got to share a space that I really cherish with some people that I was happy to journey with, and one of them being a young woman who was one of my students in California. So she's currently discerning with us and is possibly going to become a candidate this fall. So it's just, again, like you never know where people's journeys will go. It's just exciting to be able to be a part of that, whatever part it is,
Yeah, that's exciting. I have a friend who actually just recently became, oh my goodness, a novice. And so, yeah, it's exciting to just the joy in her face when she received her habit. I got to see the photos, and it just made me cry. And it's just always so inspiring to see people just living out their yes, and yeah, just living with Jesus through whatever it is that they're doing. Yeah, and in speaking with you today, I'm just so grateful that I got to chat with you, and I'm constantly learning from you. And yeah, sister, I just want to say thank you for showing up today and talking with me, and just sharing with me your journey as a religious sister, and hopefully today we'll get to see a bit more of you dance at the end of this episode. Yeah, where can people find you on social media? How can people support you? Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you for inviting me to be here today and for asking these really great questions and just being so supportive of religious life and learning more about racial justice and injustice in the Catholic Church in our country. So I really have appreciated this conversation. It's been really nice. So thank you. And then people can find me a few ways. So I'm most active on Instagram, and it's at Sista SISTAH.D. And then I also have my YouTube channel. I don't really know. I don't have like a title for it, but I think if you just look up Sister Desiré Anne Marie Finley, I think that's how to find it. Or you can find it in my bio on Instagram. And then my blog, also pretty active on that, although I don't write as much as I would like, but, and then I'm on Facebook too. So I have lots of social media, but Instagram's my favorite. So if you really want like a bigger picture of me, then Instagram is the place to go.
For the folks tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned a little bit more about Sister Desiré. I certainly learned a lot about moving with the Lord through her work as a religious sister, her experience traveling the world, her beautiful dances, and her even more inspiring work fighting racial injustice. So here's Sister Desiré dancing to Follow Me by Danielle Rose.
If you lose your life for the sake of my name, if you leave behind all fortune and fame,